This video is brought to you by War Thunder. What's up, gamers? Welcome to Bad Sequels to The Squeakquel. Alright, so last time we had a look at Megamind 2, Son of the Mask, and that Pacific Rim sequel we all agreed to never talk about. But last week I asked you guys on Twitter that if I was going to do another one of these, what you wanted me to talk about. And aside from finding out that I could basically just make this a series that goes on for the next 800 years, I managed to narrow it down to 5 more bad movies for me to talk about. You know, I thought I'd do this like any bad sequel where I just stuff way too much shit into this one, but then put in way less effort, you know? Anyway, this video is going to be long enough, so let's just get straight to the good part. Okay, so first up is American Psycho 2, All American Go. And I kind of love the confidence with this one right out of the gate, saying that it's like angrier, deadlier, and sexier than Christian Bale? Please. Famously, the story with this one is that it was going to be a completely different movie that they kind of just slapped American Psycho onto at the last minute when they realized they could make way more money that way. So they just chucked in a couple of dubbed lines about Patrick Bateman and called it a day.
Mine brought me along on a date with a serial killer. Patrick Bateman.
Like, legit, I'm pretty sure almost every time they mention him is just something they dubbed over later.
You were in Patrick Bateman's apartment.
But I'm so sure there was a time when they said it on screen, so like it couldn't have been that late of a change, I guess. Like, unless they did like a bunch of reshoots to like make the movie worse. How unfair is that for this like random, unrelated, made-for-DVD movie that it now has to like carry the expectations of like following up one of the most memeable movies ever made? Now, I haven't seen American Psycho in a while outside of like the Sigma male TikTok edits I look up when I wake up in the morning. But I'm pretty sure in that movie, the whole point is that we don't actually know if any of it was real. Like, it was either that it was made up or that people knew and they just didn't give a shit. I'm trying to remember what I said on my English assignment about it. But in this movie, Patrick Bateman is like a super famous serial killer now. So it's just like, oh yeah, no, he actually did all that. Like that car he blew up with a single bullet. Yeah, no, that actually happened. He can just do that. So yeah, no, Patrick Bateman is not in this movie. Outside of the only scene in this one that anyone ever talks about, where in the first 5 minutes, a 5-year-old stabs him to death in the middle of his daily grind. And personally, I don't think there's any better way to get an audience connected with a new character than by having them brutally murder the last one that people really like. I'm pretty sure that works every single time. So instead, the entire movie is about Meg from Family Guy trying to become William Shatner's teaching assistant so she can get into the FBI. And her plan to do that is just to kill every single person that she doesn't like this one teacher that very nicely told her that she might be a bit too young to apply for the position, so she goes to her house and microwaves a fucking cat. Honestly, kind of based. But don't worry though, she's doing it all for a good cause, apparently.
Once I get into the FBI, I'll be in a position to stop dozens, maybe even hundreds of serial killers.
To be fair, if you kill everybody, serial killers won't have anyone left to murder. So like, she's kind of onto something here. Meg is a terrible serial killer, by the way. Like, not that I have a lot of experience, of course. But like, at least Bateman put a fucking sheet down when he killed Jared Leto, okay? She just goes around like stabbing people in broad daylight and straight up admits to people who she's murdered like several times. And there's a guy that she like strangles to death with a condom.
Ribbed for her pleasure. Yep. I just killed Brian.
And in the end, she only gets caught because she tries to run over a police officer with a car, but crashes into a lake and fucking dies. Can't fucking believe I picked this over Mean Girls 2. Anyway, before we move on to the next movie, it's time for everybody's favorite part of the video. War Thunder's back, baby. That's right, even the ads are getting sequels. War Thunder is the greatest vehicle combat simulator that lets you choose from over 2,500 air, land, and sea vehicles that you can play right now for free. War Thunder is cross-platform, so you can play on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and take part in the community of over 70 million history nerds and Michael Bay fans. War Thunder is so dedicated to realism with its graphics and combat that it's even got detailed vehicle models and X-ray features that are so realistic that I really recommend keeping them away from nursing homes. Grandpa, relax, it isn't 1940 anymore. It's just War Thunder's extremely in-depth customization. So if you sign up now using my code in the description, you get a limited time bonus pack available for new or returning players who haven't played in at least 6 months across all platforms using my link, which gives you premium vehicles, the Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100k silver lions, and 7 days of a premium account. Thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring, and let's get back to suffering. Okay, so I thought while I'm doing a video about shitty sequels, I might as well finally talk about Hoodwink 2, which I definitely haven't been putting off for like 5 years on purpose. For anyone that hasn't seen it, I'm gonna pitch Hoodwink to you as basically being like Knives Out, but with Shrek characters. And believe me, it is as awesome as that sounds. The way like most of the movie is just them retelling the same story from the perspective of different characters, and you get to like slowly find out how the fuck they got into the situation, actually blew my mind as a kid. Like, Shrek literally wishes. It's not the first movie to have that idea, obviously, but you know, you might be surprised to find that 10-year-old me hadn't seen Pulp Fiction fiction yet, okay? And even now, like, yeah, it looks like a PS1 game, but it's still kind of good. Like, it's carried by how funny it is and how every voice actor is putting in, like, way too much effort.
What up, my homies? You ready to get spanked?
And I want to say that's at least the one thing you can say that Hoodwink 2 has over the first one, is that it actually looks like a real movie, which, like, would have been fine if it hadn't come out in 2011 after Toy Story 3. Like, this shit looks like food fight. I'm honestly kind of glad I never made a separate video on this though, because I kind of have like nothing to say about it. Like, I legit watched this like 2 days ago and I've already forgotten everything that happened. Like, what's this movie even about?
Luke, trust the Force.
What?
I remember the first Hoodwinked ends with them like joining the Happily Ever After agency because they stop a bunny from committing a terrorist attack on the woods. And like, yeah, Hoodwink 2 does follow on from that, to be fair. But without the storytelling gimmick that made it stand out so much in the first place, Hoodwink 2 kind of loses a lot of the sauce, you know?
You've been hoodwinked! Too!
Anyway, all in all, still not the worst thing Harvey Weinstein has done. Zach, wake up. We have to talk about Alvin and the Chipmunks 4.
Oh.
I'm so sorry this is like your thing. Like, this is this is the thing I have to call you for.
It's a tradition, you see, every 3 years.
Before we talk about the actual movie, is this not like the hardest poster of all time?
Boys on the Hood. It's that same art again.
They have one render. Anyway, we should probably say what the plot of this movie is. Dave has like a new girlfriend. Her son is like a fucking deranged psychopath who starts like bullying these chipmunks. So then they find out that Dave is gonna like propose, so they go across the country to cockblock him. They team up with the son, and that's how they bond, is to like stop Dave from getting laid.
There's this part where like the kid of the son of the mom that like Dave is dating, he's like trying to sell Theodore and shit, and this kid is like confused seeing like this talking, singing chipmunk, as if he doesn't know who Alvin and the Chipmunks are.
Yeah, right.
Or they just really fell off. But like the Chipettes, people know who the Chipettes are. They're like judges on American Idol. Why do people not know who the Chipmunks are?
They can't even afford like a fucking taxi when they have to walk to Miami in this movie, like, and they have to take a normal plane.
Theodore got hit by a car.
Theodore got hit by a car?
The image of them being like national threats or like no-fly list is hilarious. They are like legally terrorists now.
My favorite part was when Alvin hits the gritty after they steal Dave's engagement ring. I don't know if you saw.
He hits the gritty?
He literally hits the gritty. I saw it. I just want to get out of the way. The biggest problem with this one is there's no Uncle Ian. Like that was the first miss. Do you know the reason why he's not in this movie?
Because he was treated like shit for the last one, or like during the last one.
That's just, it's like, obviously it's horrible, but it's kind of funny that like they bullied him on the set of Alvin and the Chipmunks.
There's the scene where Dave is like talking to the lady he's talking to, and she's like, so like, what's the deal there? Like, did you like adopt them or what?
Yeah,
and
right.
I was so confused when he was like, I mean, kinda, like, yeah, I guess they're like, I guess I kind of adopted. And I'm like, what do you, yeah, of course you did in the first movie. Like, you took them in.
You're adopted kids, or how does that work?
I don't know, I never really thought about it.
And I was even more bamboozled when at the end of the movie, he like is legally their parent now. And like, they're like legally his kids, but it's like, how did he enroll them in school?
And what a dumb fucking question. Did you adopt them? No, I impregnated a chipmunk. What the, like, what? Okay, it's definitely debatable which of the 800 Halloween sequels is the worst one, okay? But my vote is going to the one where Michael Myers gets the shit beaten out of him by Busta Rhymes.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Just to give you some context, Halloween was going through a bit of a rough period at the time. Like, after like 5 sequels that gradually got more convoluted, they decided they just had to start again with Halloween H2O, which ignores all of Halloween's 3 to 6 and only ties into the first 2. Please be taking notes, I will be testing you on this later. And H2O ends with Laurie Strode from the first 2 movies beating the absolute fucking shit out of Michael Myers. So then Halloween Resurrection comes along and follows up H2O by immediately undoing the end of that movie and saying that, oh, Laurie didn't decapitate Michael with an axe. It was actually a different guy that Michael swapped clothes with at the last minute, and also Michael just threw her off a building. And apparently they filmed that part while they were still working on H2O, so like that was always the plan, and I don't know if that makes it more or less annoying. Okay, cool. So now that we've immediately ruined the ending of the last movie, I guess Resurrection wanted to like try a new spin on the Halloween formula after being sick of the exact same premise for the last 80 movies, which, okay, fair enough. But like in this one, and I'm gonna do my absolute best to read this out seriously, famous hip-hop sensation Busta Busta Rhymes runs a company called Dangertainment, and he wants to send 6 of the world's horniest teenagers into Michael Myers' house so they can live stream it. And you might be thinking like, damn, that sounds kind of outdated. Wrong. It was ahead of its time, goddammit.
Charlie, where the fuck you been at, man? Don't you know we've been looking all over this motherfucker?
You tell me nowadays you wouldn't watch a movie about like Germa and Ninja getting stabbed to death by Michael Myers with a fucking tripod, okay? It's also really fucking funny how the Michael Myers mask somehow gets worse in every movie. Like, you can literally see the quality of it deteriorate in every sequel.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Michael Myers, and today we're gonna be killing some people. Holy fucking shit, is that Busta Rhymes?
I gotta say though, if nothing else, Halloween Resurrection is like a really good watch, like with your drunk friends kind of movie, because you guys will absolutely lose it when Busta Rhymes shows up and roundhouse kicks Michael Myers out a window. Alright, so last one we got is Ralph Breaks the Internet, and this movie is my last Jedi, okay? I'm about to go off. I mean, Ralph isn't like all the other girls in this video, okay? All of those are like easy targets that people have already spent years shitting on, because as far as I know, the reception to Wreck-It Ralph 2 is like pretty okay. I mean, I know it's still got like its YouTube cinematic disaster videos, but like this one is more of a personal grudge, okay? I don't think I need to go on for like 5 minutes telling you why the first Wreck-It Ralph was like one of my favorite movies as a kid, because I'd be lying if I said the reason was anything other than because Sonic was in it, but also because it's like really creative and cute as long as you don't think about the kind of terrifying existence that these game characters have where they have to do literally the exact same thing every day forever, otherwise they'll be killed. But that's okay. Also, just saying, spoilers, Turbo being King Candy was one of the greatest plot twists of all time. That shit blew my mind as a kid. Anyway, why the fuck isn't it called Ralph Wrecks the Internet? Like, they couldn't even get that right.
Shouldn't it be Ralph Wrecks the Internet?
Yeah, but break the internet, it's like a thing.
Right, it's just wreck the internet kind of sounds better.
You shut the fuck.
No one over the age of 50 has ever said breaks the internet. God. The idea of this one is that in this arcade that's somehow still open in the year 2018, the owner conveniently decides to get Wi-Fi at the exact same time that some dumbass kid breaks the steering wheel off of Sugar Rush. So Ralph has to go into the internet and find a way to get a replacement so his friend Vanellope isn't homeless forever. Dude, being a video game character sounds like it kind of sucks. Like, no wonder these dudes are all fucking assholes. I don't hate the idea of this movie. Like, I think the idea of Ralph going into the internet is like, you know, one of the things they could have explored in a follow-up, but like, it just has nothing to do with video games, and I feel like there was still so much there they could have like explored instead of like
Wifey?
It's actually pronounced Wi-Fi, Ralph.
I actually do love that Sonic is the one that tells them about the internet though, because you know he has seen some shit. Also, apparently Sonic was meant to have like a bigger role in this one, which, not gonna lie, would have made me forgive everything, just saying. I love the way that Sonic is drawn on the storyboards, by the way. He looks so fucked up. Plus, Fix-It Felix and Calhoun are like barely in this one at all, because they get relegated to a babysitting subplot that feels like it got cut mostly out of the movie. I know most of the people who don't like this movie bring up the fact that like the whole conflict of this movie is like Vanellope making new friends and drifting apart from Ralph, and that like turns him into a huge incel because she's like the first actual friend he's ever had. And like, I get why a lot of people don't like that, because it does make Ralph seem kind of creepy to be like obsessing over a child, but to be fair, he does become a YouTuber in this movie. Why is the Wreck-It Ralph sequel about Ralph having to make a bunch of viral videos on a site called BuzzTube? Why? Like, dude, seeing Wreck-It Ralph floss genuinely took like 15 years off my life. The dude makes a fucking screaming goat video in 2018. But to be fair, the fucking scene where Ralph goes into the comments section and reads mean comments about himself is maybe one of the funniest things I have ever seen. Like, it almost makes up for the rest of it.
Ralph is the worst. He's so fat and ugly.
Anyway, when the first movie had like Bowser and Dr. Eggman and Zangief show up, it was cute because, I mean, yeah, aside from the fact that like, yeah, we recognize these characters, it made sense, right? But in this one, when they go to a Disney website and they stop to have an ad break so Stormtroopers and Groot and the sexy fox from Zootopia show up, it starts to be like, okay, come on, guys. And it's a shame because like, I really love the way the internet looks in this movie. Like, I love Instagram being like an art gallery and pop-up links being like a shady crack dealer in a back alley, but they just spend way too much time referencing stuff for the audience. Like, the scene where Vanellope meets all of the other Disney princesses doesn't really mean as much to her as it does for us, if you know what I mean. I know all I've done is complain about it, but like, this movie's not all bad, okay? Like, Ralph says E-boy a lot, and that's kind of funny.
Yeah, boy. E-boy.
I also can't ever talk about this movie without bringing up the fact that Disney, like, started advertising this thing with being, like, the best animated picture winner before the Oscars even happened, which made it so much funnier when it lost to Spider-Verse. Anyway, that's all from me. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna stop talking now. Don't forget to check out War Thunder, who were kind enough to sponsor this video, and get your bonus goodies using my link for a limited time. Anyway, I'm gonna try and make this, like, one of the worst movies, bad sequels, sort of super negative video, because I feel like we've done a lot of those in a row. So, like, I'm gonna try and do something a bit more positive next time. No promises, but I'm gonna try. I'll see you guys next time.